What if the new American dream is to escape America? For generations, people came here chasing the American dream. Work hard, build a home, raise a family, and build a better life. But now I'm hearing more Americans every day ask completely different questions. What if my life is better somewhere else? What if my money goes further? What if I'm healthier? People are exhausted by the housing, the cost of healthcare, the groceries, constantly make more money just to maintain the same lifestyle. So people are looking at Spain, Portugal, Mexico, Thailand, places where they might be able to slow down, experience more, and make money stretch further. Maybe the American dream didn't die. Maybe for some Americans, the new American dream is obviously having that freedom, but somewhere else.
One thing you regret the most?
I think leaving the Caribbean and coming to America.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I left my house, my inheritance, everything in the Caribbean. I had it made. I came here when I was 30 years in 1983,
Yeah.
and I had houses my father left, car, everything.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right. So a lot of Americans are leaving the US and many of them are noticing a difference, a huge difference, especially in the kind of food they're finding in other countries compared to those that they left in the US. And before we continue, guys, I just want to emphasize a lot of the times you become or you are what you eat. For example, if I eat a lot of junk food today, it's gonna show in the body, right? It's gonna show in my mood swings. It's gonna show like you are literally what you eat. Yeah. So why is it that a lot of Americans are talking about a different kind of experience and taste that they have found outside America and they don't want to go back to the US?
Right. So in today's episode, we are strictly going to listen to Americans who've managed to move out of America and why they're championing so hard for those who can move to move, especially if they want to be saved out of the food they're eating in America.
Right, guys, let's watch what we prepared for you and then we come back and talk about it. You can let us know what you think about this on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch.
What if one of the reasons Americans are moving abroad is the food? Because once you start
No, literally. Like, I saw this guy's video and I was like, I need to stitch this because it is something that has been on my mind for a while, because it's crazy how we're all just living in this like who cares kind of situation, or what can we do, because our health of Americans is so bad, and what are we doing about it? Like, it's literally a scam to be an American nowadays, and I hate to say that because I love America. I feel it should be the greatest country in the world, but it's not, and it was sold to us as that, and it's not. It's draining every one of us. This is like modern day slavery, if you ask me. We're all working. We're not happy. We're all eating and getting fatter and getting swollen and getting, unhealthy, all these different diseases and stuff. And the food, like, I literally really would love to move out of the country just so I can have healthy food and a calm nervous system. And it's literally all because of greed. Straight up greed. The root of all evil is not money. It's just greed. Greed to just keep making people sick so that they can feed into this. I need pills. I need medications. I need this, and it's like, no. This is our God-given rights are just depleting right in front of our eyes. Like the air quality, they spray stuff in the air. The food quality sucks. I've tasted food that was like grown straight from the ground, and it is so much full of life and life energy in it versus stuff that you get at the grocery store. And then now water, like you even have to have filtered water everywhere you go. You can't just have regular water, and even your bottled water is not healthy. It's really not. You're taking in microplastics and God knows what else.
Y'all, we need to talk. Because Americans are leaving the US, and not just a few people, I'm talking a real wave. 2025 was the first year that more people left the United States of America than came in. That is the first year this has happened since the Great Depression. Let that sink in. And I'm one of them. I moved from the United States to Spain, Barcelona specifically, in 2024 as a comedian and a content creator. And honestly, it's been the best decision I ever made. But sometimes I get homesick and I call my friends and family back home. And every time I talk to them, they always say, yo, Josh, stay in Spain, stay. And I think it says something when Americans who've never even left the country are saying stay abroad. And what's really crazy about this is, growing up in America, I was raised to believe, and they tell a lot of Americans this, that America is the gold standard, that everybody in the world dreams of moving to the US, coming to America, the American dream. It's the gold standard. That is literally America's brand. But when Americans themselves are leaving more than people are entering the country, that's not just a statistic. That's a brand crisis. So from what it looks like in my perspective, the American dream didn't die. It just moved. And a lot of people are finding this American dream elsewhere. So if you've been thinking about it, just know that you're not alone. The numbers are showing it. People are leaving. But I'm curious to get your thoughts. Why do you think people are leaving the US?
The U.S. is not what you guys think it is. Everybody's leaving now, y'all. I realize it too. That's why I talk about Africa, because I'm moving to Africa soon. Ethiopia, I'm finna move there permanently in the future, because I don't want to live in this damn country no more. There's this guy that lives in Thailand. He said he's not coming back to the U.S. Never. He said life in Thailand, everybody's smiling. It's better food. Food in the U.S. is processed. That's why it's so bad. That's why some people, you know what I'm saying? Like, they put in freaking poison in our food, bruh. Wake up, y'all. Get out your environment and move. It's no longer exciting in the U.S. I feel like once I move out of the U.S. and go somewhere abroad overseas, I'm going to be happier. Life outside of the U.S. is more beautiful. Way more beautiful. We got Europe. We got Asia. We got freaking the Philippines, Thailand, Africa. Oh my gosh. Like, we need to realize that it's a trap here. Here's a trap. The American life, the American dream is to get the hell up out of this damn country. Get the hell up out. Everybody looks better outside of this country, bro. People look way more better, way younger, more just natural. Kind, happy. People in the U.S. more depressed, ignoring everything. And I'm tired of living here. I don't even want to be here.
I posted something on Threads yesterday, and folks was all on my comment section talking about something. We need to fight. Fuck a fight. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm exhausted. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to live in peace. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to just be surviving. I want to thrive. I don't want to have to go to the emergency room or go to the doctor and then be left with a $2,500 bill wondering how I'm going to pay it. I don't want to pay a $500 electric bill no more. I don't want to pay a $350 water bill no more. No, I want to live in peace. I don't want to eat food that's manufactured in a lab. I want to eat watermelons with seeds. I don't want to eat food that's from bioengineered ingredients filled with all these pesticides and antibiotics. I don't want that. I want to live in peace. I'm tired of fighting. Are you?
I can't afford a home. I don't feel safe. Groceries are way too expensive. My entire neighborhood is filled with homeless people. Best I can do is ban TikTok. Can't afford a home. I don't feel safe. Groceries are way too expensive.
I just want to know what would possess us Americans to stay in this godforsaken country any longer. Like, I love the idea of, it's going to get better and I'm going to stay here and fight. But like, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Like, they've taken away women's rights, the homelessness. We can't afford rent anymore. We're making living out of our car like a thing now. Groceries are too expensive. Healthcare, don't get me started on the shit that they put in our foods. So I honestly want to know, honestly, why do you guys still want to stay in this country? Honestly, I saw something about how 2024 is going to be the mass exodus for Americans living in the US. And I can totally see that happening. Like, they are pushing us out. They are making living in this country being a burden, and like the American dream now is to leave.
What if the new American dream is to leave? I want to talk about the trend of Euromaxing and European summer and how that dovetails with people actually moving out of America in record numbers and what it has to say about our current economy. And in my newsletter this week, I talk about how America is having like a pretty bad PR movement right now. Like, people who live here are not having a good time. People who live here don't want to visit. And then people are actively leaving. And I actually did a YouTube video that is in link in my bio if you're curious, where I follow kind of why America's population is shrinking. And a lot of it has to do with declining birth rates and also crackdown on immigration. But it also has to do with people actively leaving America. And all of those things together are very much wrapped up in the economy. Like, people are having fewer kids because they can't afford them. Immigration is getting cut off in part by policy that's driven by economic fears on the right. And people who are leaving, who are primarily college educated, working age, are chasing a version of an American dream because they don't feel like it's affordable anymore. And this is a big shift for a country whose entire brand is like aspiration, and has traditionally been a place that people want to move to. And, you know, you take a country that's become too expensive, whose promise of upward mobility has been broken, filled it with like political dissatisfaction and a culture of hustle and optimization. And now you get people leaving, and also this kind of idolization of, you know, European lifestyle and culture. And I will just say, with European obsession specifically, is very much rooted in colonialism and whiteness. And, you know, I don't feel credentialed enough to speak on that, but I will talk specifically about the economy behind all of this, because I think when people romanticize Europe, they're not necessarily romanticizing the culture, though I think it's part of it. I think they're very much romanticizing the safety net. And what do I mean by this? America's relationship with money is different than basically every other wealthy country. Our national identity is built on the idea that you can make it here if you work hard, the meritocracy. And that story justifies a lot of our policy decisions, namely the fact that we do not have a very strong social safety net or welfare system compared to other developed countries. But when people stop believing in that story, the whole way they think about money flips. And then you compare that to Europe, where you have really solid parental leave, you know, paid vacation, you know, a lot of, welfare and subsidies for like childcare and retirement and things like that. So I think a lot of the things that Americans romanticize about European culture, you know, having those like long lunches and walkable cities and like cafe culture, are downstreams of policy decisions. Like, I truly think when people like talk about this kind of stuff, they're very much romanticizing the idea of like a social safety net. And if you're curious in reading more about like, is the grass actually greener in Europe, or are we just romanticizing policy decisions that we could be demanding in the United States, you should definitely check out my newsletter this week. The link is in my bio.
I've been hearing that the new American dream is to leave America, sell all your stuff and move to Thailand or live abroad in Europe. Well, that's what I did, and I want to tell you exactly how I did it. So a couple years ago, I was working remotely for a United States company. It was based in New York City. I was working 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., just like everyone else, stuck in the rat race. I was so fed up with the high cost of rent and food, and what little money I had left over, I just wanted to spend on a plane ticket and just start traveling. Well, winter was coming, and I felt so stuck. I decided I'm going to take my work laptop, install a VPN on it so they think I'm in New York City still. I'm not going to tell them, and I'm just going to go somewhere where it's sunny and cheap and warm. And I went to Thailand. Well, I did this for a while. And remember, I was working 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. East Coast time. So in Thailand, I was working 12-hour difference. I was working 9 p.m. till 6 a.m., sometimes 7 a.m. all night. And it was exhausting. And all of a sudden, this dream life of being a digital nomad and working while I was traveling really was not the reality that I was expecting it to be. Well, what ended up happening was there was a great change in my life. Right before the holidays, I get a message from my boss. My boss says, "Hey, can you hop on a quick Zoom call before you leave for the day?" Remember, they thought it was 6 p.m. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So we hop on a Zoom call. They see me and they go, "Brandon, you're so tan." And I lied, and I remember saying that I was going to the tanning beds at Planet Fitness, but I wasn't. Well, during the conversation, the can of worms opened up. My boss said, "It's a little awkward, Brandon, but the IT team said that they located your laptop, your work laptop, just south of Bangkok." And I said, well, this is awkward because I am south of Bangkok. Well, they realized I was working all night, and they said, well, this is a bit of a problem because you've got a contract that says you have to work in the United States. I did not understand that because I was never late, and they ended up giving me a ultimatum. They said, well, listen, you can either travel over the holidays and get back to the United States and work, or you're fired. And I remember looking at that screen, and it took me less than 2 seconds to come back with, well, then I quit. It was a scary decision quitting. I wasn't prepared. I didn't have a backup option, but it was the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me because I was positioned in a cheap country. My cost of living was dirt cheap, $300 a month for rent. I was living in luxury, pools, gym, right at the beach. And I had the knowledge, which is the most important part of this story, that people existed today that really were making money over the internet. Great money. Passively. I'd always heard that. Earn passive income, earn passive income. I knew people did it. And I had time now. So I ended up going down the rabbit hole. And I ended up identifying how internet people make money. Passively. The answer was they were all selling digital products. 100% profit. And then you set up the machine so that it's automatically delivered. You set up the machine so that you create a faceless brand that gets that customer interested, gets them to the link in the bio, gets them to the sales funnel, gets them the product, passive income. And I started working on building this business. And then my friends in the United States stopped asking how I was and started asking where I was. Because I started earning a passive income from anywhere in the world, and I started traveling full time. Right now, I am in Portugal. It's beautiful here. I split my year into quarters. I'll be spending the winter back in Thailand. And I just want to tell you that it's possible. If you are curious yourself about exactly how to do this, check out the link in my bio. Because I've created a digital product. And it's called the Nomadic Wallet. It breaks down my entire business model. It even includes a community, so you have one-on-one support from me, other people that are actively building this lifestyle. You have a 7-day digital product launch kit, so you can build this entire business step by step and launch it within 7 days. You've got a digital travel planner, so if you do want to become a digital nomad, you can stay organized on the road. But more importantly, you have my help. I normally sell my book in the TikTok shop, but I'm completely sold out. So check out my profile. And I hope to see you out here on the road. Talk to you soon. Have a great day.
One of the things I don't think we talk about enough is the way that the United States and Western powers utilize language so that people can't make comparisons. Like, I recently saw this article headline from MoneyWise that says, "The new American dream is to leave. Most in the U.S. don't believe hard work will get you ahead. Here's what some are striving for instead." And it's presented like this new and fascinating thing where people are like, I just want to be somewhere new where there's a better quality of life for me and my family. Like, it's very American to present this as a sign of good things ahead for anybody that wants to move to a different country. But there's actually a definition for this. And it's called brain drain. It's just brain drain. Brain drain is basically when a bunch of educated people leave for another country or like just another economic sector. And it's specifically in pursuit of like better pay or living conditions or quality of life. And again, it's a very American thing to present this as like some new trend, or to call it or present it like upwardly mobile, middle to upper class people finding joy and quality of life elsewhere. A slower pace of living. Whatever you want to call it, is rebranded to be presented as like this thing that is a good sign for Americans. But in reality, you are an immigrant that has been priced out of or pushed out of the United States based on our own quality of living. And frankly speaking, Brain drain quite often is associated with people in post-colonial countries. Not really post-colonial, let's be real. Where the resources of the country that they're living in have been so depleted that they have to go elsewhere to find opportunity and a way to live and support their families. For those who don't know, my entire family on my mom's side is from Barbados and St. Vincent. And my grandmother is part of the Windrush generation. My grandmother is part of the generation of West Indians who moved from Barbados with the promise of employment and education in the UK. Because after the colonizers left the West Indies, many people were out of work for like 6 months out of the year. And after depleting the resources, there were no reparations for people in the West Indies. My great-grandmother used to have people coming up to her house, starving, asking for any little bit of food. Because in the months where they could not find work, she was one of the only people that would have excess food. And because of those lack of resources and because of the lack of opportunity, many people moved abroad in the 60s and 70s to the UK. And quite often, a lot of West Indians live in the diaspora, not because they don't love their home countries, but because they need the money to support their families. And don't get me wrong, there are brilliant people that live in the West Indies, that stay in the West Indies. But brain drain is usually a sign that resources of a state have been depleted and that there's no upward mobility or quality of life where they are, so they have to move.
So I've been seeing everybody talking about wanting to leave America and like the US just being the ghetto, which has been the ghetto. And luckily for me, God gave me a revelation and woke me up out of my sleep and told me to leave America a couple months ago. And so I've been living out of the country for a couple months. I knew that the economy was only going to get worse, that things were only going to get worse, and I just like really had to be real with myself. Like, do I want to keep struggling my entire life? Do I want to live a life where I have known nothing but struggle, or do I want to go somewhere else and kind of take some of that pressure off and start to enjoy life? And my life has completely changed. Like, the quality of life has changed, the quality of food has changed, the way I feel every day has changed, my skin has changed, my weight has changed, like everything about me, my outlook on life has changed. My dreams and goals are not changing, but they're evolving in a better way because I'm closer to my dreams. If you have the urge to leave America, do it. It's definitely easier said than done, but plan for it, do research. I literally got into a mode where I just kind of went silent. I stopped posting, I stopped doing everything, and I just dug into research about leaving the country, and I left. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to go to another country soon, and I'm just really happy. Like, I've had to put some of my dreams on hold, like, and one of my dreams is acting, but you could be an actor at any age. I don't think that God will not allow me to live that dream at some point in my life.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about the videos you just played here. You know, it's not a surprise that people have realized the difference in food that they have in the US versus what other people eat in other countries, you know. And you ask yourself, what happens in a country that is leading economically, a country that has held the position of one of the best countries in the world, a country that sold this idea of first world country where you go to get your dreams, you know. So what happens when you have a country that is so economically prosperous for a long time that it gets to a point where a lot of companies come and present to you a lot of products that they need you to buy in order for them to profit here? That is why people are right now questioning the type of food they have in America. And one thing I have to say is, I'm not a nutritionist, but I do know for a fact that food affects someone's psychological and emotional being. Because one thing is, if you go for a long time without food, it's gonna affect how you relate with people, it's gonna affect how you think, and it's gonna affect your productivity. The same as if you go for a long time when you eat bad food, it's gonna affect you personally, and it's gonna affect how you think and how productive you are, you know. Right. And if you compare those two types of people with someone who eats well, I don't want to say healthy because, you know, so let's just say generally
varies with different individuals. individuals.
Exactly. So let's just say comparing those people with someone who eats organic food, things that have been that are coming out of the farm, that are completely organic, food that is not GMO'd. What happens with that type of person? You compare them to this other type of people,
right? Because there was a time when a lot of Americans on the internet were saying that the food that they're being fed wasn't good, and they attributed that to the increase of violence that was going on in America. And not only that, but just the change in lifestyle in Americans, and most especially the amount of mental health that was arising in America. Most people were thinking it was because of the foods that they were getting fed, right? And putting this aside, there's also a point that one of our speakers said today, and he said that the American dream, one that we knew growing up, it didn't die, right? It just moved outside of America and into other countries, right? And this is one of the things we were saying when we last covered a topic like this one in one of our most recent videos, right? And we were saying if you are an American who's earning $1,000 and above per month, inside of America, that might seem like very little money, because right now Americans are getting taxed very, very heavily, and everything is expensive, even living and homes and groceries, right? But the same $1,000 going upward, if you go with it outside of America, and for example, you're a person who's doing online work or something that can be done remotely, but you're living outside of America, you can also take that $1,000 and it can give you a very, very good life outside of America. And I noticed some people in our comment section brought up the point of, yes, life is cheaper outside of America, but for those who have moved, for the most part, if you don't relinquish your citizenship, American government might make you pay higher taxes for moving outside of America. So that part in particular, I really don't know how true it is. But if you're an American who successfully managed to transfer your life outside of America, you can at least let us know down in the comment section how true this is and how people can circumnavigate this issue.
Right. And I feel like if that is factual, then the government also knows what it's doing, and it wants to prevent people from leaving, and therefore it's bringing up these hurdles where people are finding it difficult. They see like it will be a lot of work for us to leave rather than us staying. So they're presenting these difficult levels or situations that people have to go through before they become free,
Right. And I know for a fact that America, for the longest time while growing up, I used to hear that they allowed dual citizenship. So I don't know if that is still an option right now. Instead of relinquishing your American citizenship, you can choose to be a dual citizen. Is it still allowed?
I wonder how that works.
Right. I wonder how that works. It's something I'd also like to know, And someone here was saying in this compilation, someone was saying that it's advisable for people to leave America and go outside other countries. And she said that she didn't understand why those who hadn't left yet weren't considering leaving. And to this point, I think I really understand those who are not considering leaving America as well, because me as a Kenyan, I wouldn't, no matter how bad things are in my country, I also wouldn't think of leaving Kenya permanently unless truly there is something good out there in the world for me, because I do understand the sense of knowing that not only Kenya but you as an American, knowing America as the only home you've been raised in and as the only home you've been brought up in, it would be different and difficult for you to accept another country as your home.
Right. And also on that topic, for you to make that move, you have to be able to work remotely. So it takes a lot before somebody moves, right?
Right.
So you have to be able to make a living remotely. And most importantly, you have to make sure that your life is still, earning in dollars is still a sustainable and viable option. Because also keep in mind, when you're going to these other countries, clearly the reason why your dollars is taking you far is because you're able to earn in dollars, right? That means when you go out there, you you can't expect to get a job where you're earning in that local currency and for you to live as comfortable, the kind of comfortable life we are talking about. No, it has to be in dollars, because a lot of the times when you move to these countries, when you convert your, let's say for example, $1,000, $3,000, $10,000, it becomes a lot of money in those local currencies.
$10,000, you're a millionaire in Kenya. $1,000, you're amongst the upper middle class in Kenya. So that being said, guys, let us know what you think about this episode down on the comment section. Also consider subscribing if you're new to our channel, and we'll see you on our next episode.